Have you ever felt as though you're living in a world that wasn't built with you in mind? As if you're observing life through a pane of glass, always outside looking in. Carl Jung, the influential Swiss psychiatrist, uncovered something meaningful about people who carry this deep sense of not fitting in. What he discovered could reshape the way you understand yourself. By the end of this video, you'll see why feeling like an outsider may actually point to something remarkable within you. But first, consider this. What if the very trait that makes you feel different is, in fact, your greatest contribution to the world? Carl Jung stated, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Yet for some, becoming their authentic self feels nearly impossible in a society that seems misaligned with their nature. According to Jung, there is a distinct kind of person who experiences reality differently from most people, individuals who feel like strangers in their own environment. Through decades of clinical work, he observed that certain people carry what he described as a mark of otherness, a psychological pattern that separates them from mainstream culture. These individuals often wrestle with isolation. However, Jung did not see this as a defect to fix. He viewed it as a calling to recognize and accept. Today, we'll examine 8 clear signs that you may be one of these uncommon individuals. Here is what makes this so compelling, and what Jung consistently emphasized: these signs are not proof that something is wrong with you. They indicate a form of awareness that functions on a completely different level. Stay with me, because by the time we reach sign number 7, you may uncover an insight that explains why you've always felt unlike those around you. Sign 1, you perceive reality differently. The first sign Jung identified is perhaps the most essential. You experience reality in ways others struggle to understand. Jung explained that most people operate within what he called the collective consciousness. They interpret life through shared assumptions and widely accepted beliefs. In contrast, some individuals develop what he referred to as differentiated consciousness, the capacity to recognize layers of meaning that remain hidden to others. Jung said, "Your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." If this describes you, you've likely had moments when you noticed patterns, connections, or meanings that others overlooked completely. You may sense the atmosphere in a room, pick up on unspoken feelings, or grasp complicated dynamics without knowing exactly how. This is not fantasy or exaggeration. Jung found that certain individuals are naturally sensitive to what he called the collective unconscious, the deeper dimension of shared human experience that links us all. While many people focus on surface-level concerns, you may instinctively tune into underlying currents. And this leads to something important, something that may explain why social settings have often felt draining. Sign 2, social interactions deplete your energy. Jung made an important observation: for some individuals, social engagement does not restore energy, it consumes it. This goes beyond simple shyness or social discomfort. It is more structural than that. According to Jung, these individuals often lead with what he described as introverted intuition as their primary psychological function. While extroverted personalities recharge through interaction and external activity, these individuals lose energy when exposed to the intensity of group environments. Jung noted that people of this type are highly responsive to subtle emotional signals and unconscious communication. In social spaces, they may absorb the moods, tensions, and internal struggles of others without intending to. Imagine trying to hold a normal conversation while simultaneously sensing one person's hidden resentment, another's quiet sadness, and someone else's concealed insecurity. For these individuals, this is not unusual, it is a common daily experience. Carl Jung once said, "Solitude is for me a fountain of healing which makes my life worth living." If being in large groups leaves you drained, if you need significant time alone to recover after social interactions, and if you often feel as though you're playing a part instead of being your true self in group settings, you're showing this sign. But wait until you hear about sign number 3. It uncovers something about your connection to society that may genuinely surprise you. Sign 3. You feel like an anthropologist observing human behavior. This is where Jung's ideas become especially compelling. He observed that some individuals move through life feeling less like active participants and more like careful observers of human civilization. They watch social customs, cultural expectations, and collective patterns with the detached interest of an anthropologist studying an unfamiliar tribe. Jung identified in these individuals what he called objective consciousness, the capacity to step outside social conditioning and examine human behavior without being fully immersed in it. While many people function unconsciously within social systems, these individuals perceive the systems themselves. According to Jung, this mindset develops because such individuals carry an inner awareness that others have lost touch with. They hold a sense of human potential that goes beyond present cultural boundaries. That is why social norms can seem random or even irrational to them. You may frequently ask yourself, why do people act this way? Why is this labeled as normal? Why does everyone accept ideas or practices that seem illogical or disconnected from deeper meaning? You tend to see through appearances, social performances, and widely accepted illusions that others rarely question. Jung noted, the individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. If you've consistently felt as though you're standing slightly outside society, studying its patterns and wondering how you came to be among these unfamiliar dynamics, you are expressing this key sign. Now here's what may surprise you about sign number 4. It sheds light on why authority figures may have been a challenge for you throughout your life. Sign 4 authority triggers strong internal resistance. Jung made an important observation about people who feel out of place in the world. They often have a strong sensitivity to illegitimate authority. This is not simple rebellion. It runs much deeper. According to Jung, these individuals carry within their psyche what he described as the archetype of the wise ruler, an inherent sense of how leadership and power should be exercised for the greater good. When they encounter authority figures who misuse power, manipulate others, or act from ego instead of wisdom, they experience a deep internal rejection. Jung believed this reaction is not taught. It is embedded within their psychological makeup. These individuals quickly recognize when someone holds power without the wisdom or integrity to support it. They see beyond titles, superficial hierarchies, and systems based on control rather than service. Jung stated, where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking. If you have repeatedly found yourself in tension with managers, teachers, or other leaders, not because you are naturally defiant, but because you sensed incompetence or dishonesty, this is a clear indicator. You may struggle in traditional work environments because you cannot convincingly respect leadership that lacks substance. You tend to look past corporate structures, political displays, and institutional appearances. Others may label you as difficult or uncooperative, but Jung would suggest that you are simply following your internal standard of genuine authority. This brings us to sign number 5, which may clarify why conventional career paths have never fully satisfied you. Sign 5, traditional success feels empty and unfulfilling. Here, Jung's perspective becomes especially forward-thinking. He recognized that certain individuals are fundamentally unable to feel fulfilled by society's standard measures of success. No matter how much wealth, prestige, or public recognition they accumulate, it often feels shallow or incomplete. According to Jung, these individuals are motivated by what he called the transcendent function, a psychological movement toward meaning, integration, and wholeness that cannot be fulfilled by external accomplishments alone. While many people find meaning in gaining possessions, rising through social ranks, or earning public recognition, others are driven by very different priorities. Carl Jung observed that certain individuals are naturally oriented towards serving something greater than themselves. They are not motivated by personal reward, but by contributing to human growth, expanded awareness, or healing collective pain. For this reason, conventional career paths can feel spiritually empty to them. Jung stated, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. For these individuals, becoming authentic often requires rejecting what society insists they should desire. They would rather live truthfully and face financial struggle than achieve success at the cost of their inner life. If you have ever reached a goal others admired yet felt hollow inside, if material achievement seems insignificant to you, if purpose inspires you more than profit, you are expressing this sign. Your inner direction is toward contribution rather than accumulation. Now we come to sign number 6. This sign highlights an ability many people have forgotten they possess. Sign 6. You naturally understand symbolic and archetypal language. Carl Jung made one of his most influential discoveries when he recognized that some individuals instinctively think in symbols, metaphors, and archetypal patterns. While many people interpret life in literal and concrete terms, these individuals perceive reality through symbolic meaning. Jung explained that symbols are the natural language of the unconscious. They communicate truths that ordinary words cannot fully capture. He found that certain people are naturally fluent in this inner language. They grasp mythology, recognize recurring archetypes in daily life, and intuitively sense deeper meaning beneath surface events. Jung said, "Dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. If your dreams feel significant, if you are drawn to myths and fairy tales, if you notice patterns and synchronicities others dismiss as coincidence, you demonstrate this symbolic awareness." Such individuals often feel more connected to ancient writings than to modern headlines. They recognize that stories like Star Wars, Harry Potter, or The Lord of the Rings are more than entertainment. These narratives communicate timeless truths through archetypal imagery. They see the hero's journey unfolding in their own lives and in the lives of others. Jung suggested that symbolic thinking reflects a more developed level of consciousness. Literal thought addresses surface details, while symbolic awareness perceives the deeper structures shaping reality. You may notice that you understand complex spiritual or psychological ideas intuitively, even without formal study. And now we arrive at sign number 7. This sign may completely reshape how you interpret your life experiences. Sign 7. You have endured profound suffering that transformed you. Carl Jung identified a striking pattern among individuals who feel they do not fully belong in this world. They inevitably pass through what he described as a dark night of the soul, periods of intense hardship that might overwhelm many people but ultimately reshape them. According to Jung, these individuals undergo a psychological death and rebirth that most people avoid. He called this process individuation, the journey toward becoming a whole and authentic person rather than a fragment shaped solely by collective expectations. Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." These individuals do not simply face ordinary challenges. They encounter deep existential crises, significant loss, and inner darkness that dismantles their previous understanding of themselves and reality. Yet Jung concluded that this suffering is not punishment or misfortune. It is initiation. They are being prepared for a role that requires first-hand knowledge of human pain. They must be opened by hardship so they can later become instruments of healing and transformation. If you have experienced depression, anxiety, existential questioning, or deep loss that felt disproportionate to your circumstances, if you have rebuilt your identity more than once, if your pain has ultimately expanded your wisdom and compassion, you are showing this important sign. Jung described such individuals as wounded healers, people able to guide others through darkness because they have already walked that path. Your suffering was not meaningless. It was preparation. This leads us to the final sign, which reveals your deeper purpose. Sign 8. You feel called to heal and awaken others. The 8th and final sign Jung identified may be the most significant. Even while feeling out of place in this world, you experience a strong pull to help transform it. According to Jung, individuals who carry the previous signs are carriers of consciousness, souls who appear in times of transition to assist humanity in moving beyond its current limits. They often feel like outsiders because they are here to help shape a new direction. Jung observed that such individuals feel compelled to share their insights, even when doing so makes them unpopular. They are driven to speak honestly, question falsehoods, and bring awareness into neglected areas. They become teachers, healers, artists, writers, or counselors not simply by choice, but because these roles align with their inner nature. Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." These individuals act as mirrors, reflecting both humanity's shadow and its unrealized potential. Their presence can make others uncomfortable because they embody possibilities many people have abandoned. If you feel drawn to help others awaken from collective illusions, if you are attracted to healing or expanding awareness, if you feel compelled to share insight even when it is unwelcome, you demonstrate this final sign. Here is what Carl Jung understood that many overlook. Feeling as though you do not belong is not a flaw to correct. It is a calling to accept. According to Jung, such individuals are not defective. They are evolutionary agents, pioneers of awareness who help give birth to new levels of understanding. They feel separate because, in some sense, they are. They explore territories of consciousness that humanity will eventually need to inhabit. Jung believed they serve an essential role in human development. While the majority preserve stability through conformity, these individuals expand what is possible. They question assumptions, challenge authority, and refuse to accept limitations that others consider normal. Jung wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. To be your own man is a hard business. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." If you recognize yourself in these 8 signs, Jung would emphasize something important. Your sense of alienation is not proof that something is wrong with you. It suggests that something within you does not fully align with the current structure of the world. According to Jung, individuals who embody these traits live in evolutionary tension. They carry seeds of the future, which explains why they cannot fully fit into the present. They are explorers of consciousness, builders of bridges between what exists and what is possible. Jung observed that when such individuals understand their nature and purpose, their suffering becomes service, their isolation turns into compassion, and their difference becomes their greatest contribution. He said, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." For these individuals, the ultimate goal is not to adapt to the world exactly as it is, but to assist the world in becoming what it can be. The real question is not whether you belong. The question is what the world requires from you. Carl Jung believed that every person who carries these signs has a distinct role, a specific note to contribute to humanity's unfolding awareness. The objective is not to erase your differences or force conformity. It is integration, honoring your authentic nature, while discovering ways to serve and connect from that place of truth. Jung found that when these individuals stop trying to appear ordinary and begin living authentically, they naturally attract others who are ready for growth. They create environments where meaningful dialogue can occur, where genuine connection becomes possible, and where transformation can take place. As Jung stated, the meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Your presence, when you are truly authentic, naturally inspires change in others. Here's what Carl Jung would want you to understand. You are not here to simply fit into the world as it currently stands. You are here to help it grow into something better. Your sensitivity is not weakness. It functions as a guidance system, alerting you to what needs attention and healing. Your difficulty finding fulfillment in traditional definitions of success is not failure. It is insight, recognizing that conventional success may not be true success at all. According to Carl Jung, such individuals are agents of evolution, guides of consciousness, builders of bridges between different layers of reality. They often feel like outsiders because they are here to help create a sense of belonging that does not yet exist. Jung observed that every major shift in human awareness began with individuals who felt out of place in their time. These were people who imagined possibilities beyond current limits, who refused to accept this is just how things are, and who carried a clear vision of what could be. So here is the challenge. Based on Jung's insights, Stop trying to repair yourself and start accepting your true nature. Stop apologizing for being different and begin valuing what makes you unique. Stop concealing your strengths and start offering them to the world. Carl Jung stated, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." For those who recognize themselves in these 8 signs, becoming who you truly are is more than personal fulfillment, it is service to human progress. The world needs your viewpoint, your awareness, your refusal to accept unnecessary limits, and your dedication to truth and authenticity. Jung believed the future of human consciousness depends on individuals like you having the courage to live authentically. Each time you honor your true self instead of conforming to expectations, you are not only healing yourself, you are contributing to the healing of the collective. If you see yourself in these 8 signs, remember this. Carl Jung would say that your sense of not belonging is not proof of inadequacy, it is evidence of significance. You are not broken, you are a breakthrough. You are not lost, you are leading. You are not too sensitive for this world. The world needs greater sensitivity. Jung observed that people who carry these traits are remembering something. Humanity has forgotten our true nature, our deeper purpose, and our connection to something beyond the material world. You may feel out of place because you sense belonging to something larger. Carl Jung also said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Your frustration with the world's limits, your rejection of a meaningless existence, your insistence on depth and honesty, these are not flaws. They are strengths of character. The world may not have been designed with you in mind, but perhaps you are here to redesign it. Jung understood that the evolution of consciousness does not occur through conformity. It happens through individuals brave enough to stand apart, sensitive enough to recognize what requires healing, and committed enough to serve a purpose beyond personal gain. Your sense of being different is not a burden. It is a gift, not only to you, but to all who are ready to move beyond outdated paradigms. According to Jung, individuals like you are not meant to simply adapt to the world. You are meant to help the world align with a broader vision of what humanity can become. The real question is not whether you belong. The question is what you will do with the gift of feeling different. How will you use your outsider perspective to help shape a community worth belonging to? Jung's message is clear: accept your nature, trust your purpose, and remember that the very qualities that set you apart are the qualities the world needs most. And if you are wondering what comes next, if you are ready to step fully into your role as a pioneer of consciousness, remember Jung's words. Your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. The time for dreaming is ending. The time for awakening has begun. And it begins with recognizing that you were never meant to fit into the world exactly as it is. You were meant to help it become what it has the potential to be. Thank you for staying with me through this exploration. If you found value in today's discussion, consider subscribing to the channel and sharing this video with someone who may benefit from it. And if you would like to further support this work, you can leave a super thanks below. It is a small gesture that genuinely helps sustain the channel.